Cyclones and the Kansas Jayhawks, it was business as usual, winning 17 of their first 18 games and being ranked as high as number 2 in the country. But just as they were cruising, the wheels began to slide, losing 3 of their last 5, now a game out of first in the Big 12, and leaving Williams frustrated. Last year, Larry Eustachy had the Iowa State Cyclones 1 win away from a Final Four. This year, the surge continues as they ride an 8-game winning streak and look to defeat Kansas for the second time in 2 weeks. The balance of power is shifting in the Big 12 Conference. A cold, frigid day in America's heartland, but inside capacity-filled Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa, pandemonium. Where Iowa State hasn't lost in 2 years, 33 straight wins. And today the Cyclones bring in their first top 10 ranking of the season as they battle the reeling Kansas Jayhawks. KU 3-3 over the last 6 games, losing to Baylor on Monday. Iowa State has beaten the Jayhawks 4 consecutive times. Pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Kevin Harlan alongside John Sunville. Great to have you with us today for a great game here in the Rockin' Hilton Coliseum. Why have the Cyclones played so well?
Kevin, the 3-guard lineup is explosive and as dynamic as any in college basketball. You have 3 guys there. Tinsley, All-American point guard, handles as well as anybody. Horton can handle it, shoot it. Jake Sullivan, the hot shooting freshman. These guys shot 67% beyond the 3-point line against Kansas in the first win.
And in a big game for Kansas, they are shorthanded today.
They are. Without Drew Gooden, this is a different ball club, but I think what they have to focus is on inside. Nick Collison, an outstanding low block player. When he catches it inside, he can go the left hook, the right hook. He's very versatile. In the first matchup, only 10 shots. That's not enough touches. The more touches, the more pressure on the interior defense of Iowa State.
Buckle up, folks. It's Iowa State taking on the Kansas Jayhawks. Next on CBS. In Roy Williams, 13 years at Kansas, 7 league titles, more wins in his first 12 years than any other coach in NCAA history. And today he starts Collison, Chenoweth, and Gregory on the front line. And the backcourt of Iowa-born and raised Kirk Hinrich and Jeff Boschee. And Larry Eustachy, last year's AP National Coach of the Year in college basketball. And he goes with 2 forwards and 3 guards. And up front, they've got Shirley and Martine Rancic. But the backcourt is outstanding for the Cyclones with Horton, Tinsley, and freshman Jake Sullivan.
Well, Cantrell Horton 6'1", but Kevin 225 and can match up anywhere defensively with anybody. He can guard the center. He can guard the point guard.
Kevin Harlan alongside John Sunville. Steve Welmer is our crew chief here inside the Hilton Coliseum today.
Match up early. Horton's going to be guarding Gregory. You have to keep Kenny Gregory off the offensive glass. Kansas wants to attack. They want to come out with more emotion, especially after their loss in Waco against Baylor on Monday night.
12 days ago, John, you saw Iowa State beat Kansas. What would you do differently today if you were Kansas against Iowa State?
I think we'll see more zone defense so they can contain the penetration of Jamaal Tinsley.
Chenoweth on top, and Shirley's got a hold of him. Through the hands of Boschee. Hinrich saves it, or did he? He went out of bounds, fumbling the ball, and turnovers were a problem for the Jayhawks 12 days ago.
Iowa State, one of the toughest teams in college basketball. They're not big, they're not fast, they're not strong, but they are tough. They will get after you in a half-court defensive set. Offensively, they'll try to attack Kansas in a man-to-man.
Tinsley down the lane, and a rebound pulled down by Hinrich. And here he comes from Sioux City, Iowa, Kirk Hinrich.
Hinrich has been the leader of this Jayhawk team all season long. Solid sophomore campaign, outstanding open shooter.
One of the top assist men in the college ranks and knocks down a 3 right there, and he's one of the top 13 3-point shooters in college basketball.
Well, you mentioned Sioux City, Iowa. He committed to Iowa State when Tim Floyd was here. Then when Tim Floyd left, decided to transfer, go to Kansas, or not transfer, but change his mind.
Boschee with the defense and a Kansas steal with the Cyclone turnover. And here comes Kenny Gregory, who leads the Jayhawks in scoring at over 16 a game. Chenoweth across the lane, grinding inside, but can't get it to drop with an Iowa State rebound.
Has to convert those shots. He's going to get opportunities. Chenoweth has to convert them, put pressure again on the inside defense.
Tinsley inside. That is a definite benefit for Kansas today. They've got truly the premier center in this particular game.
Well, at 7-1, they can get it to him, but he's got to convert. Chenoweth has been able to have games that are good, but then games that aren't so good.
He's 2 rebounds away from going past Wilt Chamberlain for number 4 all-time on the Kansas rebounding list.
First matchup was difficult to contain Horton. Cantrell Horton, 6'1", 225, but can handle it like any point guard.
And he spoon feeds Shirley for 2, and the Jayhawks racing the other way. Great assist. Here comes Boshi on top to Collison, right down the middle of Chenoweth.
Outstanding pass, good low post position. Shirley cannot let Chenoweth walk himself under the rim. Good pass out top.
He spent a lot of time this summer working at big man camps around the country.
He's gotten bigger, he's gotten stronger, more patient on the offensive end. Especially needed with Drew Gooden now.
His role increasing ever more as here comes Cantrell Horton, and outside for Sullivan. A great shooter from outside. A foul called in on Kansas. Chenoweth, a little too physical, picks up his first of the game for the Jayhawks.
Now, Cantrell Horton, when we take a look and we talk about this 3-guard lineup, you have 2 point guards and 3 shooting guards in the 3 of them. Cantrell Horton can handle it, and take a look at the pass. Nice assist down low, easy hoop.
Shirley double, ducks the defense, and finds 2.
Now the emergence of Paul Shirley. A year ago a reserve, he's a graduate already in his 5th year.
Here on an academic scholarship and not an athletic scholarship. Boshi the miss, Shirley the rebound.
2 of the best rebounding teams in college basketball. Iowa State, 2nd in the nation in rebound margin. There's Tinsley.
Oh, what a move by Tinsley, who draws the foul as he penetrates inside for the Cyclones. Kevin, a twirling move.
Kevin, I haven't seen a player handle the ball like this since Isaiah Thomas. The guy's magical. It's on a string. He can spin. He can finish. He shoots a lot of foul shots, and he is solid at the free throw line at 70%.
Hinrich picks up the foul for Kansas. Tinsley douses the first free throw. He had 18 against Kansas and 6 assists, along with 3 steals.
Well, and where he has upped everything, you take a look at second half. He gets everybody involved in the first half, but the last 5 minutes are Jamaal Tinsley. He creates everything for his teammates or himself.
Tinsley in their last game against Kansas was great. Iowa State enjoying their first lead. Here comes Gregory, who's got that huge vertical leap. A defended well, rebound by Rancic. Here comes Tinsley working through traffic.
Kansas outstanding defensively getting back.
Tinsley with the dance. Off his foot, he dribbled, got it back, and a jump ball with him and Hinrich. And some shoving after the play, and Tinsley initiated it.
Emotion, passion, will be here this afternoon.
You'd expect nothing less, right?
Well, again, Kansas coming off one of their worst efforts, and Roy Williams described maybe in his 13 years at Kansas, disappointed by how they came out in the first half. They were down 25 in Waco, lost that ball game. Baylor played outstanding. He knew they would respond differently at the start of this ball game.
And how do you think Iowans responded to 2 of their best players, Collison and Hinrich, going to Kansas?
Well, there'll be a little communication between the crowd and the players on the court. As expected, this should be probably.
Iowa State is 2 of 4 shooting the ball, and here comes Sullivan, one of the best freshman shooters in college basketball.
Purest stroke I think I've ever seen in a long, long time. When he misses, you're surprised.
.45 to play in the first half. With Chenoweth looking, Kansas 2 of 5 to start the game.
And Iowa State defense, we talked about their rebound. They only have 1 player in the top 20 in this conference in rebounding. Shirley's 13th, so they are a team rebounding group.
Horton has the steal. Shirley prompted it free. Horton with the drive. Good defense by Boshi as they sprawl on the floor. Hinrich has it, and the Jayhawks the other way.
Good hustle. Kansas has been active defensively with their hands.
Gregory slides in for 2. His shooting is increased incredibly from outside. We always knew he could do what he just did, but now it's his outside shot, which is another part of his weapon.
Yeah, still has the one weakness at the foul line, only 45%, but his game is transition. If they get him in the open floor, tough to stop.
Horton with a nice drive, and Chenoweth with the rebound for Kansas. Chenoweth has his first of the night, and inside driving is Gregory, and he falls inside, diving into the lane for 2.
Roy Williams basketball, rebound, you push, you take a look. And Kendrick Gregory fills the lane. Outstanding hit ahead. gives him a good hoop.
With that basket, Kansas on top 9-8. You just mentioned moments ago about the Achilles heel that Kevin Gregory has at the free throw line.
Well, 45%, and it's really been his career. He's 44% career shooter from the foul line. No matter what he's tried and what you try to do, it becomes a mental thing.
Inside, a lane violation on Kansas. Jayhawks on top 9-8. And they are in an insane asylum today at the Hilton Coliseum. Both Iowa State and Kansas shooting over 50%. Kansas coming off a tough loss in Waco to Baylor on Monday. Iowa State hasn't played since last week Sunday when they beat Missouri here for their 8th consecutive win in the conference.
Well, Jamaal Tinsley went back to New York, has a ill grandmother, so didn't get back until 2 days ago to practice. Kansas had the full week to get over the loss against Baylor.
Kansas, 2 new players, Jeff Carey and Bryant Nash, have checked in. Carey, a junior, Nash, a freshman. Iowa State, the same. Tinsley and Sullivan for 3.
A very difficult team to half-court tryout because of the way they handle the ball and the way they shoot it. Kansas tried to surprise them. It didn't catch Iowa State off guard at all.
Iowa State is the number 2 rated three-point shooting team in college basketball.
And they space so well on the offensive end. Good move by Bosch.
To get open for that mid-range jump shot, which brings Kansas to a tie.
You take a look at the Kansas lineup. You mentioned Carey coming in and Nash. Not very productive on the offensive end. So that's going to force Bosch, Hinrich, and Collison to look for their shot more.
Here's Tinsley, who's got 2. Bosch on him. The screen by Shirley. And Sullivan goes inside to Rancic. Over Collison, who altered the shot. They front court inside. Out of bounds it goes. And the Jayhawks will get it back.
The factor of winning basketball games for Iowa State, we talk about the 3 guards. Shirley and Rancic inside have to play well, and they've done that all season long.
Iowa State 3 turnovers, Kansas 2. We're tying at 11. Bosch with the move. Hinrich with the drive and basically uncovered with the rebound pulled down by Rancic. He's got 3 already. Sullivan for another 3. He can be a flamethrower.
Run the floor, spot up. Tinsley will find you.
Nash on top. Bosch with the Hinrich screen. Rebound Nash flying in, tapped up and down by Collison.
And we will not see many putbacks on either end of the floor. Both teams, again, great rebounding ball clubs. Eustachy takes a timeout immediately to give up that offensive board.
Jake Sullivan, the freshman from Minnesota, with 8 points and 2 threes. And the Cyclones by 1. Iowa State tied for the most Division I wins over the last 2 years, 53. Well, the student body began setting their tents in their little campground outside Hilton Coliseum late in the week. They let them inside the concourse this morning because it got below 0 last night, not including the wind chill. And at 10 o'clock, they flooded the seats like sharks to whale meat. They grabbed what they could get, and they are in full throat this afternoon.
Well, what an atmosphere. This is a ball club picked 4th by the coaches for the Big 12 and 5th by the media. And here they are at the top of the Big 12 race and can put themselves in a 2-game lead if they can win this afternoon.
No changes for Iowa State. Same for Kansas. Carey remains in there with Bosch and Hinrich, and here comes Tinsley.
Matchup zone defense. Sullivan will try to find openings. Horton, Tinsley, unlimited range.
Sullivan, shot clock at 6. Outside to Horton. He'll blast a 3. Nash had a hand in it. Pearson was the guy who came in to touch it, and Tyree Pearson will pick up his first foul. He is a junior college transfer, but he was first-team junior college All-America a season ago at Kankakee Community College.
Explosive score, but what Larry Eustachy has developed in this young man is a solid defensive player. I like what Kansas is doing defensively, the zone. They're challenging the shooters. They're going to try to make everybody put it on the floor.
Both teams 50% shooting right now as Collison hits Hinrich. Approaching 13 minutes to play in the first half. Bosch spoon beats Collison, met by 2, can't get it. Carey with the rebound. Inside, grinding his way inside.
Carey filling in for Drew Gooden. More minutes, more activity.
He's from Camdenton, Missouri. Jayhawks on top, 15-14. Kevin Harlan and John Sunvolt inside the Hilton Coliseum in Ames. Great pass, Tinsley inside to Shirley, but Collison is there. And a pass through a traffic-filled lane, finally corralled by Horton. Finds Sullivan for three.
Automatic.
In the first game, Iowa State hit 11 three-point shots against the Jayhawks 12 days ago in Lawrence.
Created by penetration. Horton did lose the ball, but recovered, found Sullivan.
And Sullivan is only a freshman. Hinrich with the dance, the crossover, the spin. Rebound inside by Pearson. Tinsley to Sullivan from 22. Wow! He is an assassin! Nice the miss. Rebound Tinsley. Swiped out by Collison, and a foul called on Collison. Jake Sullivan is a freshman outside of Oakdale, Minnesota. He has scored 14 of Iowa State's 20 points. And this capacity crowd is in full frenzy. He was born in Iowa, lived for a short time in Dyersville, Iowa, which is next to the Field of Dreams from the movie. And this isn't heaven, it is Iowa, but to freshman Jake Sullivan, who has 14 points and 4 threes, it seems like, Kevin, he has been outstanding.
Well, you play with two senior guards, they'll find you. He's got to find an opening. This one right here, unbelievable. He's coming full speed, stops, launches about a 25-footer, and he is on a roll.
And Iowa State has their biggest lead today of 5, 20-15. Kevin Harlan, John Sunvolt in Ames.
Again, the matchup zone defense, they continue to point where the shooters are. What Iowa State does, their shooters, they back up and shoot further shots.
Chenoweth is back in for the Jayhawks, and Shane Power, a freshman, is in for Iowa State, with Tinsley finding the aforementioned Power. Shot clock at 9. Hinrich was blocked out by Shirley. Tinsley's got some room. It's Power maneuvering for a 15-footer.
Another freshman, another terrific shooter.
The biggest lead for Iowa State now at 7.
Kansas has to remain poised through all of this. Handle the basketball, get it inside, try to create something. But a turnover, you can't have it with a crowd going like this.
Kansas has 3 turnovers right now. And just a reminder, we'll be switching some of our audience to the Arizona-USC game, which will tip off at 2:05 Eastern Time today. Here comes Tinsley, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
And Tinsley pointing to the official. He's got a shoe untied. The official just shook his head. Too bad. Man-to-man, Tinsley will go to work.
When he played in the Rucker League, I'm sure that didn't stop his game, did it?
Good defense by Boshi to keep Tinsley out of the paint.
Here comes Power.
And they spread the floor all the time. See if Tinsley can get it to the paint area. He'll either score or dish it off.
Iowa State's on an 11-4 run. Tinsley misses.
And Boshi defending well.
Hinrich will race it the other way, shifting gears and waiting for Chenoweth to come, and there he is, dumping it into Carey, knocked away by Pearson, picked up by Power, and here comes Tinsley for Iowa State.
Oh, what a pass.
Pearson inside, colliding, and a foul. Or knocked out of bounds, and it's off of Iowa State.
Well, Pearson tried to score before he had the ball. Tinsley, a bullet pass right on the money. Pearson simply lost it.
Eustace is 4-1 against Roy Williams, which not many coaches can say in college basketball.
No, and 4 in a row. And
yes.
Now Tinsley goes out. Cantrell Horton moves to the point guard. Handles it well. Good passer himself.
Chenoweth from Villa Park, California. Lobs it inside. Power with the interception. Kansas turns it over for a 4th time.
Well, a frustrating pass for a coaching staff. Nothing available and not even close.
Gregory is on Power. 9.5 to play in the half here in Ames.
What Iowa State does on the offensive end is space so well. You got good shooters, give them room, plus it gives the penetrators opportunities to go to the hole.
Nice feed. Horton to Pearson with the pirouette.
You mentioned his ability to score in junior college.
Hinrich to Gregory. Kansas has turned it over the last 3 trips, but Kenny Gregory hits it right between the eyes.
Seniors answer. Gregory, terrific senior season. His numbers are up. A John Wooden candidate.
Kansas went almost 4 minutes without a field goal.
Tough to do on the road. You've got to maintain your poise, knock in shots.
Hinrich on Horton. Sullivan picked up by Collison, doubled by Hinrich. Tapped away by Kenny Gregory and out of bounds. So 12 seconds on the shot clock. Just under 9 to play in the first half. Jayhawks have lost 4 consecutive games to Iowa State. No conference team has beaten the Roy Williams team 5 in a row. Shot clock at 5. Horton sees it. He'll work on Boshi. Gets a rub on a screen and puts up an off-balance shot, which does not go, and Hinrich is there to collect it. Boshi. Collison inside to Chenoweth, and they need more of that inside penetration and an Iowa State foul.
Good ball movement, better pass, good look. Move the ball, and again, Kansas establishing that low block when they run down offensively. Iowa State wants to meet him about the foul line, root him out there a little bit.
Pearson picks up his second personal foul. Sullivan will check out. And so it's Power, Rancic, Tinsley, and Horton out there for the Iowa State Cyclones. Chenoweth, Boshi, Gregory, Collison, and Hinrich for the Kansas Jayhawks.
You know, 2 ball clubs very similar, we mentioned. Starting 5, all double figures for both teams. So far, Rancic hasn't scored, Horton hasn't scored.
Iowa State has hit 4 threes. They're shooting 56% from the field. Kansas, 9 of 18 shooting from the floor.
The matchup zone has been effective.
Pearson saves it off of Hinrich. Iowa State's ball, 20 seconds to 5. Concern for Roy Williams, first and foremost, was probably the penetration of Tinsley and Horton. They have shut that down. What they haven't been able to react to is Sullivan on the outside. Athletic grab by Horton. Shot clock down to 8. Powers shuffles it off to Tinsley for 3. He missed everything off of Pearson. Back to the Jayhawks, who trail by just 4 with 7:54 to play in the first half. It's Iowa State number 9 over Kansas. Kevin Harlan, John Sundold at the Hilton Coliseum in Chili, Ames, Iowa. 4 threes by Iowa State.
Well, you take a look. This is where they make their living. They look at it. They're second in the country. Everybody's solid. Sullivan only 5 off his career high already.
Kansas had an early 3-point lead. The Cyclones' big lead has been 9. Up now at 24-20. And there is Hilton Magic. 15 consecutive conference home wins. 33 consecutive wins overall by the Cyclones in this building.
Special place. Yes. Tough to come in here and win, obviously.
Last time Kansas won here 3 years ago, February 4th, 98. Larry Brown coached 5 years at Kansas and never won here. Hinrich, Chenoweth, Gregory, and Boshi and Collison.
Rancic and Collison really going at each other.
And Collison sliding in there, a kid who was coached by his dad in high school in Iowa Falls, Iowa.
Nice entry pass by Boshi, and if I'm Hinrich and Boshi, I keep looking for Collison on the block. Make Iowa State stop him.
You talked about him at the top of our
broadcast. Well, I think he's a player that has such good skills on the low block area. He's got a left hook, a right hook, a little fadeaway. He'll make you, he'll pump fake, he'll make you leave your feet.
Kansas on a 7-0 run right now, and they get a steal, and they could tie it. Here comes Gregory, dueling with Horton. And on top to Collison, finds Chenoweth with a spin, and fires and misses. And it's Iowa State again. They lead in rebounding. Pearson slicing inside. What a move by Tyrell Pearson.
Tough finish.
He's from Hammond, Indiana. Inside alley-oop, up high and down hard goes Eric Chenoweth.
Again, Boshi looking, finding. Good back screen. Eyes up, head up. Put it right on the money.
And we've got a 2-point game with 6.5 to play in the half. And Applebee's tournament favorite in 1986, the Midwest Regional, sophomore Jeff Grayer leads Iowa State with 16 points and 5 rebounds as the Cyclones hold off a late rally by Michigan. And they advance to the Sweet 16. Head coach Johnny Orr, who had so many great years here in Ames, called this game his greatest victory ever as a coach. And remember, he coached at the University of Michigan as well. And there's the banner that hangs high atop Hilton Coliseum here in Ames.
That Sweet 16, also that team included Jeff Hornacek.
Yes.
Outstanding. He was their lead guard on that ball club.
A walk-on. Hornacek was a walk-on.
He's done all right for himself.
He has done very well, yes.
Career.
One of the great shooters in the history of the pros and a great college player here at Iowa State. Both teams over 50% shooting here this afternoon. Rancic to Horton. Shot clock is at 20. Plenty of time. Horton spoon surely inside.
Again, the penetration by Horton, his ability to always look towards the outside, but he drops it inside.
It's Iowa State by 4.
Horton's like a good quarterback. He likes to look the defense off, make a pass the other way.
Brett Ballard is in the game for Kansas. Here comes Tinsley the other way for the Cyclones. Brett Ballard in with Boshi, Chenoweth, Collison, and Gregory. But now this crowd is back in the game with Chenoweth with a myriad of moves, unable to get it in. Horton with the rebound. Into Ballard, a shove and a reach and a foul.
When you're on offense against Iowa State, you have to be careful of Jamaal Tinsley. He will leave his man, kind of plays midfield at times. Center field, he'll just pick you clean. Quick hands, slaps hard on the basketball. Easy finish.
Boshi picks up his first foul. Boshi's in there with Gregory, Carey, Collison, and Hinrich. Kansas making more moves. Jake Sullivan is back in for Iowa State with Horton. Tinsley with the ball. Inside to Shirley. Spinning up for a hook with a little bit short on the shot. And Carey with the rebound.
And we talked about the Jayhawks without Drew Gooden. Luke Axtell is not here either. Bad back. Another guy that comes off the bench. A shooter for Roy Williams ball club.
And Boshi trying to penetrate and drive. Out of bounds it goes. Kansas retains it with 28 seconds to shoot. And 5:19 to play in the first half, with the Jayhawks trailing 30-24, down by 6 right now. The big lead for Iowa State has been 9.
Richard Evans comes in for Iowa State, only 6'5", but very active on the glass.
He's from Dallas.
Will remind a lot of players of Stevie Johnson of a year ago. Tinsley sticking with you. Great hands.
Sullivan thought about 3, but the defense of Boshi prevented him from firing.
And Boshi will understand Sullivan again. Shooters understand how quickly another shooter wants to get it out.
Horton takes it inside, and Iowa State up now by 8.
Kevin, Horton is strong, physical with the ball. He handles it well, uses his body.
Boshi from Carey, the drive, slithering inside for 2.
The young man has had an answer. Boshi playing solidly this first half. Tough hoop there.
Starts a 2-guard now, but began his career at Kansas as the starting point.
More comfortable probably coming off screen, shooting the ball. Hinrich, a natural point guard from his high school days.
Boshi's got 4. Gregory is on Sullivan.
And you saw Gregory go for the fake, and you have to, because when Sullivan lifts the ball, he's not necessarily a jump shooter, although he can, but he'll shoot a set shot on you. He'll catch you off guard.
Boshi fighting through screens. Horton finally released and got it to go.
And what do? Defensively, played it solidly. You stayed in front of him, you fought him off. Guy shoots a fadeaway, knocks it in.
Iowa State by 8 again. Here comes Hinrich. Stolen by Horton. And buckle up. But he couldn't elevate. He's either too tired or too heavy. And it may be a combination of both. Much of this of Coach Larry Eustace. Nonetheless, he's had a good game, as have the 9th-rated Cyclones of Iowa State, leading Kansas 34-26. Gotcha. Singular. It's Iowa State. They've led by 9, now on top by 8. And coming up in the singular at the half, Greg Gumbel has all the scores and highlights, and Clark Kellogg visits UCLA head coach Steve Lavin on the singular at the half. The backcourt of Iowa State amongst the best in college basketball, with Tinsley and Horton combined as starters here, John Sunvold. They are 29-0. The two have never lost a home game started.
Not used to losing, and when you have senior guards this year, these guys can go in any building and play well.
Horton with the missed three.
The 3 losses early to Iowa, but the other 2 in conference play. 4 overtimes against Missouri and overtime on the road at Oklahoma State.
Iowa State's backcourt today is accounted for 22 points. And here's Boshi with the carry screen, knocking out 2 oncoming Cyclones. The rebound is pulled down by Richard Evans. And Tinsley shifting gears. The pump faking the drive. Great defensive play by Boshi. And then a travel. But the defense was outstanding.
Boshi has been terrific defensively on Tinsley. And one thing you do when Tinsley goes to his left, he'll still shoot with his right hand. Rarely finishes with the left. Boshi stays right on it. Makes the block. Roy Williams thought Boshi got pushed. There's the travel.
Chenoweth on the bench, and so Collison and Carey, the front line for the Jayhawks. Hinrich, Nash, the freshman in there, along with Boshi. Here comes Horton. He's from Covington, Georgia. Richard Evans. And Boshi the other way. He had an early 3. Carey on top. Touch pass to Collison. Great rotation by Kansas with the Iowa State foul. Richard Evans may have got it, and he did for Iowa State.
And you take a look at Nick Collison bending over. He and Evans were fighting for that low block. Evans got on the low side of him, took him out of initially, but Collison sealed him. Then he was wide open.
We talked a couple times about the battles inside today.
Well, it's a war. These 2 teams, well coached, physically tough. They'll go at each other. Iowa State is not as big and strong, so they have to push and shove and hold.
Hinrich found Collison. Collison was a McDonald's All-America in that year. That McDonald's All-Star game was played in this building. He has 6. Here's Power with Shirley setting a screen, knocking off Hinrich. Tinsley for 3, and that's way off the mark. Yeah.
A year ago, Tinsley shot 24% from the 3-point line. Beyond it, this year, 40%, 46% in conference play. He's been outstanding and normally backs up 3 or 4 feet beyond the line.
Collison finds Hinrich, who looks for Carey. He is battling with Shirley in a travel inside. Chenoweth will check back in. That's the 10th. That is the 10th first half Kansas turnover.
Well, Jeff Carey, 16 minutes each of the last 2 games with Drew Gooden out. Not a big offensive threat.
Chenoweth for Collison.
Turnovers has really been the story when these teams meet. Again, starting 5 score, terrific rebounding teams. Defensively, they're solid, but in the last 3 meetings, Kansas has averaged 16 turnovers a game. Iowa State only 10.
How deep is that Iowa State bench?
Not very deep. I mean, they don't go very far down the line, only bring in a couple guys off the sideline.
Tinsley, the crossover on the drive, and Chenoweth met him and out of bounds, and Kansas's ball.
Jeff Boshi has been brilliant defensively against Jamaal Tinsley.
There is Stacy, who was a coach earlier in his career at Idaho for 3 years, Utah State for 5 years. As you see, Jake Sullivan checking back in for Tinsley. So Powers, Sullivan, Evans, along with Shirley and Horton. With under 2 to play in the first half from the sold-out and rockin' Hilton Coliseum.
Small lineup for this Iowa State team.
Good screen by Carey for Boshi. Right there it is. He knocks down a triple.
And Boshi took his time that time. At times, Boshi will come off and release the ball too soon. Good solid screen, as you mentioned.
Kansas with a 5-0 run after that 3. They trail by 3. Kevin Harlan and John Sunvold in Ames, Iowa. In a huge game for first place Iowa State and second place Kansas. Shirley with the dance, the drive, and up high. Evans couldn't corral it. Here come the Jayhawks with a chance to tie. Hinrich shifting the screen, and Kansas to within 1. 34-33. I was thinking a 3 could have brought him to a 34 all-time.
And a terrific change of direction. Hinrich likes to go really full speed down the court, change direction, made the defender change his shoulder.
Kansas has had a nice couple runs in this first half.
I like what I see Jeff Boshi defensively. He has matched the toughness of Tinsley and Horton. He's not backing down.
Here's Sullivan. At one time he had 14 consecutive points in this first half. Power. Shane Power in the game at Kansas less than 2 weeks ago had 2 3-point shots for the Cyclones.
Both in the second half, both down the stretch of that game, both big hooks. Big Hoops, the 6'5" freshman. Good-looking freshman. Big, strong, solid, good defender.
Difference of 4 seconds. Game clock and shot clock winding down the first half. Hinrich with the drive and to the rack and knocked away and picked up by Sullivan. Can he beat the clock from behind? Hinrich with the steal. He'll have to fire on the fly for 3. He knocks it down at the buzzer. And that brings Kansas to within 1.
What a great finish for the Jayhawks. Great hustle by Hinrich.
The Jayhawks are back in business after trailing by as many as 9 points in the first half. That buzzer-beating 3 by Iowa-born and raised Kirk Hinrich brings the Jayhawks to within 1 at the end of the first half. Greg Gumbel, we got a beauty in the heartland, 37-36. Number 9 Iowa State over number 6 Kansas. Let's send it to you in New York. Sundled inside the Hilton Coliseum, and through our first half, here are some of the numbers.
A heavyweight fight, and both teams playing well. Going at each other, they're shooting the ball well. What's interesting about it, Kansas, again, the 10 turnovers takes away opportunities for them to score.
Kansas has not beaten a top 10 opponent since December 2nd, 1997. What do they got to do in the second half here?
Well, cut down the turnovers because all 5 scorers they're scoring. All 5 starters are scoring. They've been balanced enough. They can get it inside. They've done some damage, but when you throw it away, you take away opportunities. Iowa State has converted on the other end.
And Iowa State looks great. A freshman led them early. 14 consecutive points by Jake Sullivan, who is absolutely magnificent early, but late in the half he disappeared.
Well, no shots, you see. Kansas recovered in a hurry, tried to make Sullivan put it on the floor, try to create something off his dribble. He's better at standing and shooting.
So Kansas will be out there with Collison. Boshu's had a great first half in terms of defense. Chenoweth, Hinrich, who just hit the buzzer-beating 3 to end the first half. And Gregory will set the Cyclones for you in a second. In the first meeting 12 days ago in Lawrence, Iowa State led Kansas by 11.
And that game ended up to be close, but only a 2-point game. Iowa State led the whole thing by 10 points the whole way through.
Collison knocked away by Tinsley. Hinrich is back, so is Boshu behind the back and a quarter inside with the Kansas foul call.
Remember the graphic in the first half. Tinsley emerges second half player. Gets everybody involved in the first half. Second half, he tries to do more things by himself. Defensively, already involved.
So he's a guy who needs to feel the game to thrive.
Well, the thing is, he thrives on the pressure. Kevin, when it's down to the wire, who wants the ball? He does. He wants to create for himself and his teammates.
Boshu's got 2 fouls. Jamaal, Tinsley, a kid from Brooklyn. You can see the numbers first to second half.
And he has had some big games. The last 4 averaging over 20 points a ball game when they've needed him the most.
He didn't play high school basketball, played AAU basketball only. Then went the junior college route and came to Ames. Boshu lobbing for Chenoweth. Slides by Rancic, who had it knocked away, and Tinsley will go the other way for the Cyclones as Kansas commits their 12th turnover.
Good thought by Boshu. Good weak side help by Rancic.
Won't count, will not count. Foul is out well before the shot. Tinsley, who played a lot of playground basketball in Brooklyn on the same court, on the exact same area that the great Connie Hawkins played on, that Julius Irving played, Stephon Marbury played there, and part of that great Rucker League in Brooklyn.
He's got that toughness to it.
Yes, he does. He needs it, especially in this conference. Sullivan with a floater.
What a release. Sullivan's got a great mid-range game. He can put it on the floor and get to that spot and knock in shots. Great balance, great finish. Another turnover by Kansas.
And Kansas turning it over on their first 3 trips this half. Sullivan gets his first field goal since 12 minutes left in the first half. So he ends a drought. But the Jayhawks, and I think you said if they cannot turn the ball over, and they have 13 times already in this game.
Turnovers play into the hands of the home team because the crowd gets involved.
Shirley picked up.
You know, Rancic has been quiet. He was scoreless in the first half, and here's a guy that averages over 13 a ball game.
ISU by 4. You can see the turnover story the last 3 games.
And in Allen Fieldhouse this year, Iowa State only turned it over 9 times. But senior leadership, senior guards, they take care of the ball.
Hinrich behind the back and finds a deuce as Tinsley bit on the fake.
You see the ability of Hinrich you saw in the first half. Open shots he's very good at. He pushes hard. Change of pace on the dribble frees him up.
Hinrich has 10 points. He's coming off 2 consecutive games of 20 and 26 points. The 26 against Baylor Monday at career high. Alley-oop and a foul. And down hard, Martin Rancic. What a pass.
And a great screen by Cantrell Horton on the weak side.
That'll wake him up. Trying to pry his way in. Here comes Hinrich, knocked away by Tinsley. It's a 3-on-2. Tinsley behind the back, out to Sullivan for 3. Kansas has called a 20-second timeout. Iowa State left their players on the floor.
Larry Eustachy said, stay out there, enjoy the crowd. And the alley-oop, weak side, Cantrell Horton puts a terrific ball weak side screen. And nice pass, nice finish. And Tinsley, the magic of Hilton Collison.
Kansas has 4 turnovers on 5 trips in the second half. A pick-off by Tinsley. Another Kansas turnover. To Shirley inside. He fumbled it away. Off of Hinrich. It was. Kansas now with 5 turnovers in their last 6 trips in this second half.
And a missed opportunity by Shirley to flush that one and keep this crowd at a fever pitch.
Chenoweth is out and Carey is in for the Jayhawks. They slide it inside. Good block. Tinsley tried to go and met the defense, and 29 to shoot with about 3 minutes gone here in the second half.
What a physical game, and only 2 free throws have been taken by the Jayhawks and only 4 by Iowa State.
Crew's done a very good job.
Yeah, they have. They've let them play.
Only 8 total fouls, John, in the first half, 4 on each team. Horton with the drive, chiseling his way. And a whistle. And out of bounds.
Tried to call timeout. Steve Wilmer, Dave Baird, going to talk about it.
The station is upset. Roy Williams bewildered.
And the physical play doesn't necessarily play in the hands of Iowa State. Normally, that whistle blows. Iowa State shoots a lot of free throws when their guards penetrate.
Kenny Gregory from Columbus.
And Collison battling inside. Rancic doing a nice job.
That has been fun to watch. Hinrich driving inside.
Tinsley's hands again.
He's been all over the floor. 3 points to Rancic.
When you play either team from offense to defense, you better run because both teams get out. Rancic, one of the better big guys running the floor. That's 6'8". He's going to sprint. Horton puts it right on the money. Good foul. Don't let him lay it in.
Carey picks up his first for Kansas. And here comes Slovakian Martin Rancic. He is a senior. Played high school basketball in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, just outside Minneapolis. But the great thing for him to do, his mom and dad have spent the last day and a half flying from Slovakia, and today Vladimir and Sonia watching their son Martin play for the first time in college basketball.
Boy, how special.
Oh.
Huh? Come here, and this young man fought injuries a year ago. When he came to Iowa State, a loose type player. Turned the ball over, kind of forced shots under Larry Eustachy, and this season has been solid. Shoots 57% from the field, over 13 points a ball game. Probably the X factor for this club going forward. When they get to the NCAA tournament, Martin Rancic has to have big games.
Last year, this Iowa State team made the Elite 8, finished the season number 6 in college basketball. Well, a couple of players on their team which are pretty good.
Well, Marcus Fizer, Stevie Johnson, and the rest of this crew, and Tom Izzo would say it's the toughest team they played all year in that elite ball game. A couple whistles here and there, Iowa State may have advanced to the Final Four.
Kansas 17 turnovers for the game and 7 in the second half, and that is absolutely destroying the Jayhawks.
Again, keeps the crowd in it. Kansas shot 55% in the first half, so when they didn't turn it over, they're going to score the ball.
7 turnovers and 8 trips for the Jayhawks. Tinsley trying to chisel his way inside. Sullivan for 3.
What a release.
He's a young John Sullivan.
It is picture perfect, Kevin. Right on target.
5 3-point shots by the freshman Jake Sullivan. He is offered a spectacular afternoon with the career-high 22. Boschee, the fake, the drive, and he gets the deuce.
How about the game by Boschee? Has been solid defensively. He has been tough. He has had to fight Tinsley and Horton. The crossover dribble.
Iowa State is led by as many as 11, up now by 9. Tinsley feeds Horton, who looks inside for Shirley. An Iowa State turnover with Boschee finding Gregory. Stripped of the ball by Tinsley as he took it down the baseline.
And it might be Iowa State's ball. We're going to see here Tinsley saying it hit Gregory.
Turnovers have killed Kansas in the second half, as has the marksmanship of freshman Jake Sullivan. The Fidelity Investments keys to success today.
Well, Kansas, we've talked about the turnovers. They have 7 in the first 5 minutes of this second half. Perimeter defense, they've got to get to Sullivan in a hurry. For Iowa State, Tinsley, Horton, only 3 of 13 the first half. They need their production. Defense in the paint. Don't let Kansas catch the ball so deep and put it in.
Kansas has been in the top 10 all season long. Coming into today, number 6, Iowa State at number 9. This is the first time Iowa State has been in the top 10 all season.
Well, not rated in preseason polls anywhere. Again, picked 4th by the coaches in this league, 5th by the media. Everybody thought with the loss of Stevie Johnson, Marcus Fizer, Michael Nurse, 3 starters, how would this guy get him back? Well, you know, he had 2 guards coming back pretty solid, Horton and Tinsley, and he's been magical at piecing everything else together.
Folks, an invitation to follow all the NCAA hoops action from now through March Madness, only on the Internet's home of college basketball, cbs.sportsline.com, or ALL keyword CBS Sportsline. There's Carey sliding it off to Hinrich, lost the ball. Another Kansas turnover, 8.5, 18 for the game.
At times, Kansas offensively will get too bunched up. There's no avenues to throw the ball.
Surely a screen for Tinsley. Rebound Hinrich, shuffles it off to Gregory. Collison knocked away by Shirley with the shove inside. Gregory comes out of the pack and takes it in for 2.
A fortunate break for the Jayhawks. Another bad pass that was nearly intercepted.
And again, Kansas playing short-handed today.
Yeah, Drew Gooden out with the wrist. They hope to take the cast off on Monday. They hope he plays on Wednesday. Luke Axtell out with a bad back. His status is uncertain for the rest of the season. Mario Kinsey, a backup point guard, no longer with the team, going to concentrate on football, spring football. He's a quarterback for the Jayhawk football star.
Rare miss by Sullivan. Here comes Hinrich for the Jayhawks, who are shooting 57% from the field. Iowa State, 50%. Kansas, one of the best shooting teams in college basketball. Number 4 overall across the country. Boschee, 3 with the Hinrich screen to set it up. Rebound by Tinsley. Good drive inside and a charge on Tinsley.
Smart play by Hinrich. Tinsley has a tendency when he comes at you to go to his left. Well scouted. They've played each other enough times in the last 2 years. Hinrich read it perfectly. Again, Tinsley likes to crossover, likes to go to his left. Solid play.
Eric Chenoweth back in for Kansas. Carey will leave, so it's Chenoweth, Boschee, Gregory, Hinrich, and Collison. And for Iowa State, as Shirley will leave, it is Richard Evans, Rancic, Jake Sullivan, a freshman, Power, a freshman, and Tinsley at the point.
And the matchup to watch. Evans is in. He's only 6'5", guarding Collison at nearly 6'10". They go right to it.
Collison had it, but stepped out of bounds.
Kirk Hinrich, a sophomore, has had a solid season, but as a point guard, you've got to wait and let your big guy establish low post position. He had Collison on the move. Not set yet. Turnover.
19 turnovers for the Jayhawks. 9 crushing turnovers in the second half after they trailed by just a single point on a 3-point shot by Hinrich to end the first.
Yeah, you shoot the ball 56%, and that's what's keeping them in this ballgame.
Approaching 13 minutes to play in the second half with Tinsley finding power. Trying to shed Gregory. Collison and Evans are dueling. Boschee with a little flash of defense.
Iowa State likes to spread the court. Open up the avenues to penetrate. Draw the defense and shoot jump.
You got that right. He took it inside the charge on Power. Shane Power from Crown Point, Indiana, who spends a lot of his summer shooting with Rick Mount, the legendary Purdue player.
And a good guy to spend it with. Lost control going up. Boschee slides over. When you're making the move against any Kansas team, any Roy Williams coach teams, you understand weak side help is going to come. So instead of getting all the way in, make sure as you turn the corner, you know they're coming, find the open guy.
Kansas +3 in rebounding this afternoon. 19-16. Boschee the drive. Tinsley may have got a hand on it. On the floor, Collison. And they have a little all-star wrestling with the jump ball called, and it should be Iowa State's ball.
Well, Tinsley disruptive. As Boschee put it on the floor, Tinsley got his hand in there.
John, I think you picked up on something very early in this telecast, how physical it is, and maybe more so than your normal Big 12 game.
I think so, and again, give credit to this officiating crew that they've allowed these teams to play.
Thursday, March 1st, New York's toughest cop being forced to work with the FBI. He'll be making enemies one agent at a time. From the co-creator of NYPD Blue, Big Apple, starring Ed O'Neill, premiering after CSI Thursday, March 1st. With a drive inside, there is no investigation needed right there. As the drive was made, the foul was committed by the Jayhawks. No points by either team over the last 2 minutes. Hinrich picks up his third, and he's debating the issue right there.
And Hinrich came from the weak side. Good look at Shane Power. We talked about this freshman. Solid player. Again, 6'5", 210 pounds. Solid defensively for Larry Eustachy's ball club. Good shooter. You mentioned spends time with Rick Mount. He will get better. He's not as pure of a shooter as Sullivan is.
Gregory will lead. Nash comes in, and here's Power once again at the free throw line, who had an uncle who played some pro football. In fact, he was a Pro Bowl player for the old St. Louis Cardinals. Don Grum. 12.5 to play in the second half. Kansas has trailed today by as many as 11. They were within 1 at halftime, but they've turned it over so many times in the second half, with Hinrich driving and a foul called on Iowa State. Horton will pick it up from Trell Horton, 2-year starter.
And the second half in the matchup in Allen Fieldhouse, Iowa State kept a 10-point lead really the whole half. Once they got it to 10, kept it there until the final minute. Kansas got it down to 2. Luke Axtell missed the game-winning three-pointer.
Hinrich and Horton. Chenoweth muscling inside. More of that.
Well, Kansas always solid screens across the lane. Chenoweth 7'1". Richard Evans only 6'5". You got to get to this guy in a hurry.
Sullivan for 2, trying to bank it. Grabs it. Triple teamed inside. Another rebound inside by Iowa State. Evans shoved out of bounds with the ball. It'll go back to the Jayhawks. Both teams have had a straitjacket on the other team inside all afternoon, but Iowa State on top, 51-44. Years, Kevin Harlan alongside John Sunbold in Ames, Iowa. Larry Eustachy. Simple messages, but they get across to the team. They lead the Big 12 Conference and come in today number 9 in the country.
Well, the points he has always made are championships, and games are won in practice. And players win games during games. And Larry Eustachy has his teams prepared well when they enter the ballgame.
Hinrich to Boschee. Chenoweth is in, but Boschee will shoot over and off the glass and down. And it's
a big smile on the face of a shooter.
5-point game with Iowa State, John, having no field goals in over 4 minutes.
Well, here's the 1-3-1 zone defense.
Misses his 4th three-point shot of the season. He was 2 of 3 coming into today. Down by 11, now to within 5. Collison the drive and a foul. He picks up his 3rd.
Again, as coaches, most coaches don't like big guys putting it on the floor to get to the rim from the top of the key.
21 Kansas turnovers. Collison picks up his third. Boshi will lead. Gregory is in with Nash, Hinrich, Chenoweth, and Collison. And in there, Rancic for Iowa State with Horton, Tinsley, the freshman Power, and Shirley for the Cyclones. Kansas, 21 field goals and 21 turnovers.
Wow, that's the killer. Defensively, they have been solid. Tinsley has not done much, has not done damage in the paint as he did in game 1 in Lawrence.
Shane Power got the defense of Nash to fall and knocks down the jump shot.
A little lower the shoulder, boom. Nash goes down, wide open, huh?
Freshman against freshman. Chenoweth establishes position, sweeps across the lane, and a foul.
Well, the two freshmen for Iowa State. Here's the lower. The shoulder goes down. Nash goes down, knocks it in. Power has 10. Sullivan 22. We talked about the senior guards, but what about the freshman guards? 32 points between the two of them.
They've been spectacular. Now here's Chenoweth at the free throw line. A 63% free throw shooter. He's averaging 8 rebounds a game as he fans on the first throw. John today just 1 free throw. He is tied Wilt Chamberlain for number 4 in the all-time annals of Kansas rebound.
Yeah, is tied for the league lead in Big 12 with teammate Drew Gooden. Missed both free throws up. On the road, you have to convert.
Tinsley knocked away inside. Hinrich was there, and Chenoweth providing the Kansas defense.
Again, the Kansas guards are playing the right shoulder and the right hand of Jamaal Tinsley. When he goes to the basket, he doesn't shoot the left hook. He puts it back in the right hand. Hinrich was there. Chenoweth came over. I'm not sure which one got the block. Both were on the ball.
The report is out there then, and teams know it. Horton got a ball in the air. Power for 3.
What a day for the freshman. Unbelievable. This kind of pressure, this kind of atmosphere to step up like Sullivan and Power had.
This equals the biggest Iowa State lead today of 11. Gregory penetrates. Iowa State, John, has knocked down 9 3-point shots this afternoon.
Well, 9 of 17. Roy Williams said after the game down at KU, he said, hey, sometimes a team just shoots lights out. Not much you can do.
They had 11 in the first game.
And so far this afternoon, it's been the 2 young guys that have done it.
Every time Iowa State has bulged their lead, Kansas has come back.
Yeah, Gregory answered in the first half. He answered now, and maybe Boshi gives another.
Boshi can't hit. Shane Power had a hand on it, and finally gobbled in by Horton. Tinsley the other way, throws it away. Was it off a Jayhawk? It was. As Hinrich will set the check back in for the Hawks, and out goes Brian Nash for Kansas. And Thursday on CBS, the whole nation is being swept away by the #1 show in America, Survivor. This week, the castaways have reached the breaking point with conflict at an all-time high. It's the show everyone's talking about, Survivor, Thursday on CBS. Kevin Harlan, John Sunvold from capacity-filled Hilton Coliseum in frigid Ames, Iowa. It was below 0 on the thermometer, and with the wind chill about 15 below last night. But the students were camped out and waiting to get the great seat for this one this afternoon. Tinsley was pushed around like a pinball, but kept his composure. He'll go to the free throw line. And another foul on the Jayhawks interior defense, and it goes on Boshi for a 3rd time.
And Tinsley makes a living late in the game trying to put it on the floor, drawing the contact. Jeff Boshi frustrated with himself. Jamaal Tinsley, we knew about him in the Midwest a year ago as he was an all Big 12 conference player, but the national spotlight happened in NCAA play. Against UCLA, came out in that ball game, was supposed to be a close one. Iowa State got out early. Tinsley 14 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, a near triple-double in that game.
Iowa State has beaten Kansas 4 consecutive games. The Kansas team has not lost 5 in a row since 1984. Boshi on the fly and hits it.
Now, what a ball game he is playing. Defensively, offensively, it's the toughest I've seen him play. A great response for Roy Williams and his squad.
He has 13, and Boshi is averaging 10 a game. Horton trying to penetrate. That's by Hinrich. Tinsley for 3. And out of bounds over the backboard. The clock is at 8:24. And the 9-point Cyclone lead.
And now Tinsley 0 of 4 and Horton 0 of 2 beyond the three-point line.
Kansas has had a great shooting afternoon. In fact, 70% John Stumble in the second half.
That's phenomenal. It's the turnovers, and we've talked about it.
Gregory is open. Chenoweth with the scream, and a two-point shot is reeled in by Horton.
And Iowa State will want Kenny Gregory to shoot those types of shots.
Tinsley with the spin. Gets his own rebound. Surely frees a charge. Chenoweth says no. Tinsley again. They blow it down. And a foul on Hinrich inside for Kansas.
Iowa State is going to look at this game. If they can survive, their senior guards, who we talked about and boast about, are 3 of 19 from the field. The two freshmen have been spectacular, and everybody else kind of just chipping in.
Kansas leads the Big 12 in field goal defense, and you look at the numbers of Iowa State, and that would give you an indication, only 43%. But what is truly remarkable about this game is Kansas is shooting 57% for the game, yet they trail by 9 and maybe more with Tinsley at the stripe.
Easy to know.
Yeah.
21 turnovers versus 12.
That's the story.
And they have shut down the duo.
And exhausted
Horton and Tinsley. Yeah.
Timeout taken. Iowa State equals their biggest lead of 11. And CBS's coverage of NCAA men's basketball will continue. All next on CBS. Here we've got number 6 Kansas against number 9 Iowa State. Kevin Harlan with John Sundvold. This ties the biggest lead of the Cyclones today at 11. 4th time we've been in this position with Iowa State leading by so many. Jeff Carey is in. Here comes Ballard off the bench for a second time this afternoon.
Ballard, a spot-up shooter. Again, the minutes he's getting is Luke Axtell is out.
Bosch shot clock at 9.
Boy, they had Chenoweth over the top. Didn't see it.
Defense by Rancic in a mismatch, and Bosch can't shoot over the big 6'10 player, and here comes Iowa State. Tinsley to Shane Powell.
And Tinsley went down.
Hard.
I don't know if he twisted a knee.
And really nobody was around him.
No, and that's scary when that happens.
He's tying that shoe again. He's done that a couple times this afternoon. Iowa State, the defending Big 12 champions, leading the conference by 1 game over Kansas. 9-3 Iowa State, 8-3 KU. Kansas, if they somehow could win this afternoon, because they would have a tiebreaker against a common opponents in their division, would lead the Big 12 conference. If Iowa State wins, they have a 2-game lead, an advantage over Kansas in the season series, and will be very tough to beat with a couple games to play.
Well, 4 games left for both ball clubs. Both are 2 home, 2 and away. What an unbelievable game this guy's having. 5 of 5 from the field, 4 of them three-pointers.
And that may be it. Shane Powers gives Iowa State their biggest lead today. And a shove and a foul by Horton, I believe, of Iowa State. You can see what the Iowa State freshmen have done today. This is a career high for both Sullivan and Power.
Well, these were the last 2 players leaving the gym yesterday after practice, doing some extra shooting.
They talked to you.
Spoke with them for quite a few minutes. 2 good young men. Enjoy their stay right here in Ames. They love playing for Eustachy, and they love playing with Tinsley and Horton.
Screen by Collison and a 3 by Gregory.
That's a huge basket. Kenny Gregory has had some answers this afternoon, but Kansas has to get some stops. This is where Iowa State is at its best. Tinsley can handle, as can Horton. They space it out. They want the defense to sag in, and they pitch it out to their shooter.
13 for Gregory. Surely knocked away by Collison. Here comes Kansas again. They've done this all afternoon. The big lead has gone up there for Iowa State, reaching double digits, and Kansas every time has come back. Ballard thought about 3. Horton closing the door. And outside, Bosch will fire the 3 and put it right between the eyes. And a timeout taken by Kansas.
And Bosch has that look.
He's got 16. The Jayhawks still in business, down 64-58. 56.
Good if you put it up there.
Kansas has lost 2 in a row here in Ames to the number 9th ranked Cyclones. They trail now 64-56. Boshi puts in a long-range 3. He's got 16 for the day. 6 minutes to play in the second half. Here comes Shane Powell.
Kevin, Iowa State, no easy baskets in the paint this afternoon. Every time they go to the rim, they're challenged. Here's a tough hoop.
Ramsick puts it down. He's got 5.
Elevated over the top of the taller Jayhawk squad.
Iowa State coming into today has won 8 consecutive games overall. The spin by Gregory with the sweet shot and an Iowa State foul.
Freshman on senior. Shane Power guarding Kenny Gregory. Gregory with the spin move and the contact. We talked about the foul line. 45%, and the crowd will remind him.
Number 5 scorer in the conference. The number 12 rebounder. Kansas from the free throw line today is 1 of 4. And Iowa State, John, is 10 of 12 from the strike this afternoon.
And then a look. The win streak. Conference win streak and the 8-game win streak this season started after the 4 overtime loss to Missouri in Columbia.
Gregory tapped it, but right back to Ramsick. Now 5.5 to play, with Tinsley bringing it up. Out there with Power, Ramsick, Shirley, and Horton. Basically the starting 5. Tinsley with the drive. Boshi tries to defend. The block by Collison. Kansas has 7 blocks today and a foul called on Nick Collison.
And Tinsley has to recognize more quickly the fact when he's going in, a weak side or strong side, big guy is running at him. That shot was blocked away, although the foul was called on Boshi.
It was.
Ramsick, Ramsick wide open to about a 10-footer. Tinsley's got to give the ball up. They're going to get some open looks.
Boshi said, how in the world could it have been on me? But he just picked up his 4th foul. With 5:12 to play.
Iowa State as a team shoots 73% from the foul line. Very efficient. Everybody that goes there has a high percentage.
By the way, Chenoweth has grabbed a 2nd rebound. We've talked about it a couple times, and now passes Will Chamberlain for number 4 all-time in the Kansas rebounding charts. Approaching 5 to play. Jayhawks down 68-56. Collison has not scored in the second half. Dishes to Gregory, spins it to Ballard. Foiled by Tinsley. Boshi with the Chenoweth screen. Shirley with a big-time rebound, gobbling it up inside. And a foul called on Kansas and Ballard.
Shirley, the senior. More hungry. More determined. Watch a shot by Boshi. Again, the quick release, but maybe too quick. Shirley going over the top, and there's the reach by Ballard.
Shirley at the free throw line. Grew up a die-hard Kansas fan. Just outside Topeka, Kansas. But he comes here as an academic scholarship player. And Shirley Hissett, he graduated in December with a mechanical engineering degree. He's in graduate school right now. And here is a player that on a lot of teams, John Sunville, would have been probably just an ordinary guy. He's a starter here on a top 10 team.
And again, under the guidance of Tim Floyd, Larry Eustace, toughness level has increased year by year. He has had injuries in his every season, it seems like. Last year he missed 8 games with a broken foot during conference play, played in the last 2 NCAA games in the Sweet 16 Elite 8, gave some solid minutes. And this year he has been extremely good, nearly 11 points, 7 rebounds a ball game.
Iowa State from the free throw line today, 14 of 16. Kansas, 1 of 6. 1 of 6 from the free throw line for the Jayhawks. Boshi on the perimeter, picked up by Shirley. A mismatch here. We'll see what Boshi does. Feeding to Brett Ballard. Back to Boshi. Plenty of time on the shot clock.
And Ramsick quick enough to stay within distance of Boshi. Good move down low by Collison.
Collison puts it up and in with 4.5 to play. Like the Kansas zone?
Well, I do. What's tough against Iowa State when they have a lead, it's hard to chase them. It's hard to trap them. Again, great ball handlers, great shooters, difficult teams to trap and do things. So the zone, they're going to make Iowa State beat them with some jump shots, put a hand in their face.
Like from Tinsley right here with Ballard in his face, and the Jayhawks get it. Hinrich quickly the other way. And Boshi picked up by Collison. They try it inside for Chenoweth, who was mauled inside by Shirley.
And smart basketball. Chenoweth runs right to the block. Shirley working hard, but giving up some inches.
Shirley picks up his third.
Collison has made some nice passes, but really you want to throw it up by the rim. Let your big center go chase it up in that level.
Chenoweth is having a career year. His scoring is up. His rebounding is up. He's at 5 doubles this season. And he has had an improved year. And now Kansas 2 of 7 from the free throw line. Kansas in rebounding -3 this afternoon. And the Jayhawks still shooting 57% from the field, and Iowa State 43%, yet Kansas trailing by 11.
Well, they've taken care of the ball better. Still with 21 turnovers. Iowa State still with 12.
Iowa State's led by as many as 14.
What's the difficult position now for Kansas? Again, senior leadership of Iowa State in the guard position. They understand and know how to win.
Cyclones by 10 with under 4 to play at the sold-out Hilton Coliseum. Take a look at the CBS Sportsline stat of the game. It's got to be three-point shooting. Iowa State had 11 in Lawrence 12 days ago. They got 10 here this afternoon in Ames.
And all 10 hit, all 10 by the freshman. 6 by Sullivan, 4 by Shane Howard. And there's Drew Gooden with a cast on his right wrist. Hurt in the Texas game. You see his numbers, what he means to this ball club. 6'10", mobile, can shoot it outside. He's active on the board. What a terrific player he is. And we hope that wrist is better next week. Hope he can play Wednesday.
When they take on Colorado, Powell, Tinsley, and 3.5 to play in this game.
In the 2 years watching Iowa State play, last year and this year, they rarely beat themselves. When they have leads down the stretch, they usually maintain it because the foul line is good and they're a good shooting team.
It's Iowa State's ball. The Cyclones led by 1 at halftime. Kansas had 8 turnovers on their first 10 trips of the second half. And Iowa State has built their lead this afternoon as high as 14 points. And 2 freshmen have had career highs today. The kid with the ball right now, Shane Power, was 16.
And now Kansas goes man-to-man. They're going to chase a little bit. Ballard's got to move. Now they'll sit back in that zone.
Power. And Rancid. And Tinsley. Eating up some time.
And good ball move, making the defense adjust.
Shot clock is at 7. Carving inside range. What a shot.
Handle the ball for 30 seconds and Rancid a little fadeaway.
Chenoweth glides inside for the finger roll with the miss. And the freshman, Power, and Collison, the sophomore, with a jump ball called, and it will be the Jayhawks ball. There's Roy Williams, who is only 6-6 against Iowa State in Ames, and 1-4 against Eustachy.
Well documented, had a chance to go to North Carolina in the summer. His loyalty to this program at Kansas, one of the best in the land over time, and the record that he has. He's trying to find a way to get bodies healthy and to get his team their confidence back in the stretch run of Big 12 play and to get ready for what kind of seeding they can get for the NCAA tournament.
Kansas was as high as number 2 in the country earlier this season. Now at number 6. They lose to Baylor on Monday. They may lose here this afternoon. But Hinrich may have something to say about that. The number 13 three-point shooter in the country.
They don't go away easily, do they?
No. He's got 13 today, and Kansas down by 9.
I think Hinrich and Boshi have outplayed Tinsley and Horton. They have been terrific on both ends of the floor. Tinsley and Horton have to find their shots down the stretch, have not made any long hoops.
Kansas only has 2 points off the bench today. Normally that bench is bringing them 19 a game. Ransom. He's hit 2 big baskets late in the game.
They get shot clock down to 5 when they scored. Clock now under 2 minutes.
Hinrich twirling around. Boshi from 23. Good, he puts it in. And the three-point shooting at Kansas has been a big story here this afternoon. 19 for Boshi, 12 in the second half, and the Jayhawks are still breathing. The Jayhawks have canned 7 three-point shots this afternoon.
And defensively, you have to communicate. Power and Horton both leave Jeff Boshi wide open. Outstanding ball game.
Kansas shooting 58% from the field. Hinrich, Gregory, Collison, Ballard, and Boshi in with some full-court man-to-man by the Jayhawks. Tinsley, Shirley, Rancic, Power, and Horton for Iowa State.
And this is the game Iowa State wants. Ballard probably cannot stay with Tinsley.
Some help from Boshi, who can stay with Tinsley.
Is that 5 on Boshi?
He's gone.
Mistake.
And he was hot in the second half.
Well, and a mistake by Jeff, and the fact that you know you have 4 fouls. Tinsley's already picked up the dribble. Don't reach, just stay away from it.
Boshi had a glittering 12 points in the second half, 19 for the game, and he was their guy.
Well, one of the better games I've ever seen Jeff Boshi play. Tough on the defensive end. He stayed with Tinsley all afternoon, or Horton. He responded to the big game that the Jayhawks needed. But a mistake here at the end.
Chenoweth comes in with 1:34 to play. Larry Eustace leading the Big 12. The defending champs coming in. They beat Kansas 12 days ago, 79-77 in Lawrence. And he has used the same kind of mechanism this afternoon. Shoot the three and play a physical brand of basketball. And against Kansas, he is 4-1 all time and zeroing in on his 5th win.
And Tinsley missed both free throws. Unusual.
Kansas has to score here. Down 74-66 with the miss. Chenoweth gobbles it up and puts it in. And a timeout taken by the Jayhawks, who now creep to within a 74-68 reach with 1:17 to play. John Sunvold, Kevin Harlan. You see the timeout story. Kansas is out. Iowa State's got some foul to give, and they've got 3 timeouts, and they've got the backcourt tandem of Horton and Tinsley still out there, which has been driving Roy Williams crazy all afternoon. And full court pressure by the Jayhawks as Nash comes back in for KU.
Again, Iowa State all season long has not beaten themselves by turning the ball over, and they normally make free throws. Now Tinsley missed 2. We'll see if they can continue to convert. All 5 guys can handle it well for Iowa State.
And turnovers have killed Kansas this afternoon. Hinrich trying to smother him, and Gregory doing the same, and a foul called on Gregory, who picks up only his first foul of the afternoon.
Unusual in that Kentrell Horton tried to go over the top of Gregory. Horton at 225-6'1", you want to go through the track. You try to pass over. A big break for the Cyclones if the whistle was blown.
Kansas from the free throw line today, 3 of 8. Iowa State from the free throw line, 14 of 18. Rebounding story, +1 for Iowa State, 28-27.
Well, look at Horton at the foul line. Has not scored much this afternoon, only 5 points. Probably the most dependable player in an Iowa State uniform. Can play offense, defense, comes every day to work.
And you're looking at the #1 free throw shooter in the Big 12 at 85%.
Guy you want at the free throw line.
Couple beauties, 76-68.
Well, you stretch it to a 3-possession game. You force Kansas into hurrying up to try to find an open look.
Hinrich over the 6'11 Rancic. May have altered the shot. The rebound is inhaled inside by Shirley. Going with Chenoweth.
Solid block out. I think Tinsley got a timeout.
He did. Iowa State has won 33 consecutive games at home. 51 seconds left to play, and they lead the Jayhawks. Iowa State is led by as many as 14 points today. Kansas led early by 3, but the Cyclones have truly controlled this game. They've answered every Kansas run today.
Yeah, Kansas has not been able to get even in this second half.
Full court pressure with the Cyclones inbounding, picked up by Shane Powell. Here comes Iowa State. And here comes Horton. Hemmed in. Gets it off to Power.
And you have to foul. You have to foul. The game's over.
And that's what Hinrich does.
Well, and unfortunately, Hinrich has to foul. He now fouls out of the game, too. Ballard can't allow that to go. You've got to get quickly to him and then make it a free throw contest.
Hinrich is gone. The sophomore from Sioux City, Iowa, who originally said he was going to come to Iowa State, and then when the coach Tim Floyd left, he left and he went and joined Roy Williams.
Well, I think this ball game, I think Hinrich and Boche said something about themselves as people and as players. They have outplayed Tinsley and Horton, the two seniors for Iowa State. Outstanding game. They were tough enough to handle the pressure of the crowd. The turnovers, again, has killed this Kansas team, but give credit to Iowa State. What a ball game. Well prepared. They came in. They've done the things. And the two freshmen, Shane Power and Jake Sullivan. Huge ball game. Power at the free throw line has 16 points. Sullivan, who's on the sideline, has 22.
And they did it by shooting the three.
Yeah, knocked him in.
Power hits it. Well, the last time a team beat Kansas 5 consecutive times was between 1982 and 84. Oklahoma State did it. Right now, Iowa State coming into today, having beaten Kansas 4 consecutive times, is looking to tie it up.
Two freshmen, 40 points. Amazing.
And the Kansas turnovers, John, 21.
And the two freshmen, 10 of 12 from three-point land.
Gregory knocks down his second three this afternoon. He's got 16. Full court pressure and the quick foul. And Brett Ballard is the one to get him.
Yeah, they'll go after Shirley, a 66% free throw shooter. Did not foul Horton at 90%.
Roy Williams, this time any team, has defeated his squad 5 in a row.
And they've got some work ahead, but again, Drew Gooden on the sideline, a big difference to this Kansas lineup, offensively and defensively.
I think Kansas losing to Baylor on Monday. If they lose here to Iowa State, you would assume they will drop out of the top 10. Iowa State will climb. They beat Missouri last Sunday. They beat number 6 Kansas here. They could really move it.
You know, last year Iowa State won the league. They went 32-5 overall, 14-2 in the league, then won the Big 12 Conference tournament. They got a number 2 seed, which honestly hurt them. They had to play Michigan State in the Elite 8, which I think was the championship game of all college basketball.
Absolutely.
Now, if Iowa State can run the table, they win today, you got 4 more, you got 2 on the road, 2 at home. You run the table. Can they get to a number 1 seed? It's a possibility.
Traveling violation. Turnover number 22 on Kansas. There's Eustace. Shakes the hands.
And I'll promise you that guy's going to look and say, you know, Horton goes 2 of 8, Tinsley 1 of 13, and we still won. Hey, we have a solid ball club.
If the posters are listening, no team in Division I has won more games over the last 2 years than Iowa State. And they beat Kansas for a 5th consecutive time over the last couple seasons. Number 6 Kansas losing for a 3rd consecutive time in Ames, Iowa. And Iowa State winning for the 34th consecutive time at home. Jeff Boche for Kansas, although that's Hinrich's picture. It's Boche winning for Kansas. And for Iowa State, Sullivan. For John Sunbold, Kevin Harlan, Iowa State beating Kansas 79-71.
Tiebreaker over Roy Williams and company. So a huge game indeed for both teams. An early first half, it's the perimeter shooting, and it's Jake Sullivan, the freshman, Digger.
Jake Sullivan just goes off. Hits 4. This is it. Wow, that's 1. And he gets it going again. They come back down the floor, find Jake Sullivan again. That's 2, and he's only a freshman. And why not? Give it to him again. I'll get you number 3. And in the first 8 minutes of the game, Jake Sullivan ends up, you got it, number 4. 4 threes the first 8 minutes for Iowa State.
14 straight points for the freshman. Cyclones led at 20-15. Now with the first half winding down, it's Kirk Hinrich with the steal, and Hinrich gets the pull-up. He had 13. Jayhawks down by 1, though, at the break, 37-36. Now, second half, more from the Iowa State freshman digger.
Well, you got to take a look at Mr. Sullivan coming down. Here's a transition play. Look left, look right, get it to him. He knows where the range is. Why not? But there's another freshman that wants to hit it. You got it. Shane Power. He hits a big three. And Power comes right back with his second in a row big three.
So Power a career-high 18, Sullivan a career-high 22, and the Cyclones win at 79-71, their 5th straight win over KU, the first conference team to beat the Jayhawks 5 straight times since Oklahoma State in the early 80s.
Jamaal Tinsley getting 11 big assists, but Kansas, 22 turnovers on the road. You can't do that when you play the way you do like Kansas.
Cyclones continue to excel under Larry Eustace. In fact, since the start of last season, no Division I school in the country has won more hoops games than Iowa State. Eustace, 15-15 his first year in Ames. Since then, they have won 54 of 62.